about Jurnoff. Jurnoff historically has been a company that was in the legal sector. It was founded about 11 years ago. We do computer forensics, and we help with electronic discovery. We collect documents and information for regulatory investigations, litigation, internal investigations. So we basically collect and uncover evidence, and we help companies manage and track that information using databases and the things. And we help companies relax a little, and that really gets into the information security part of this and how we got into doing what we're doing. We started getting calls to do forensic investigations on who did what when because of security breaches and things. So we would often go in there, we do the investigation, we tell them what happened. And, you know, we started doing these about 8 years ago. And as we were walking out the door, they'd say to us, hey, how do we keep this from ever happening again? And for a while I'd say, that's a good question. Here's some people you could maybe call. And then we started helping more and more. And now we've gotten to the point where, it seems to be more comfortable to be proactive and to help prevent breach. And that's where information security comes in. We really want to help prevent and prevent incidents and make things secure from an information assurance standpoint. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk very, very briefly about threats to our business. Look, we all know what's going on out there. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. But we're going to then talk about our approach to information security. By our approach, I mean Jurnoff, what we do internally with respect to information security, how we internalize that so that it's foremost in our employees' minds when dealing with lots of issues. And so we'll talk about it in terms of our business integration, creating that culture. And then last, we're going to give you some takeaways, some things that we do, some things that we're always monitoring that we think would be helpful for all of you. So, has anybody heard of the new information security mantra? Better safe than Sony? Sorry, nobody from Sony here. I won't repeat that again. Just one example. This is really in the news. 100 million PlayStation Network accounts, including anybody in here who has children who have PlayStation and actually use the internet service. And the extent of the breach isn't totally clear, but this came from a Wall Street Journal article last week, and I find it very prescient. The chief executive officer said that in this bad new world of cybercrime, basically nobody's safe. Well, you'd probably tout that as your mantra too if you lost $1 billion in value in one day. But interesting, maintaining security is a never-ending process, and he doesn't know if anyone is 100%. I like that because I think security is always something that we can improve on. Things change. And I liken that to the old joke, the two guys who were going fishing. They're salmon fishing in Alaska, and they get up early one morning, and one guy's putting on tennis shoes, and he's lacing tennis shoes. And the other guy looks at him and says, what are you doing? He says, there's bears out there. It's dangerous out there. He says, you can't outrun a bear. He says, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. And the issue really is you want to make sure that you are not more vulnerable than the next guy. You need to be doing enough to stay ahead of all the other companies out there so that they're the targets and not you. And even when you're safe and secure, you've got incidents like Epsilon, third parties. Everybody entrusted them with their marketing information, their email addresses. How many of you out there got, 3, 5 emails saying, we're sorry, but your email was taken? I got one from Marriott. I got one from American Express, Citibank. The emails just kept rolling in about this. Well, it was just email addresses. It's no big deal. I'm sure our spam filters are busy right now. So, a few facts and figures about data breach. Recent report, average breach is about $214 a record. That's up $14 over last year's estimate. Average organizational cost, $7.2 million per incident. Risk and compliance budgets expected to increase 21% in 2011. Everybody's looking at this, everybody's doing something about it, and that really is the spirit in which we would like to share this information with all of you today. So, the government, they've recognized that they're much more vulnerable. Hopefully we will all do things more efficiently than they are doing. That every government organization is arguing right now over who has turf and who has responsibility to do what. It's not a good picture. But everybody, the private sector, public sector, everybody's looking at how can we provide information assurance moving forward? How can we prevent security breaches and things of that nature? And so those are some of the things we'd like to talk about today. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Eric Vanderberg because he's really the person who knows far more about this than I do.
Thanks, Tim. Well, I'll start with just talking about what information security is. And some of you have probably seen this diagram before, but there's a concept called the CIA Triad, which is, well, we talk about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. That it's not disclosed to unauthorized individuals, that it's the same document you created, it's unaltered, and that it's available when you need it. Those are things we want to protect about information. And we have to protect it from quite a variety of threats. I put some up here for you, just that you can think about. But we have helped companies with a variety of issues. It's not just the hackers coming in from the outside. Surely that makes the news. But there are a lot of other threats out there. User error. We helped a company with an issue where they had 500,000 documents deleted and spent considerable effort trying to figure out first just what was going on, what happened. Was that an external threat? Was that caused in-house? Was that a glitch? And eventually discovered that was a user error, that there was a script that had been created incorrectly. So a lot of time and effort went into that. And we've worked with companies with backup and restoration issues, lost data that you want to pull from your backup media, but do you have any assurance that the data you need is on that media? A lot of companies do not do restore testing, which is something we do religiously. Checking to make sure that the backup media contains the data we need and that it can be restored in an efficient amount of time. And this company tried to restore critical database. It was not available, and they weren't able to make payroll. And we also see issues of there's a lot of issues surrounding information security. I won't drone on about a bunch of our clients, but I did want to mention a couple of different examples here. You can see that the impact on unavailability or compromise of your information can have a disastrous impact on your business operations. What we do at Journov is we try to establish a security culture, an environment where security itself is built into the organization. That's at the forefront of our minds and involved in our business decisions and everyday activities. And part of this, it starts at the top with your strategy. So we have a business strategy. We have missions and goals and quarterly goals. We also have a security strategy that feeds into our business strategy. And we've outlined where do we want to be, and what do we need to get there. We have overall strategy and then quarterly goals, and establish roles and responsibilities, and very specific goals. All of this then feeds into our business strategy, which is implemented through each employee's quarterly goals. Now, we take that's a part of the top-down approach. We also take a bottom-up approach, where we have the goals of the company established, but then when employees set forth their quarterly goals, they think, what can they do to fulfill that? So we have that input. They say, this is something I can do to fulfill the organizational security goals. And then over the next quarter, we track, did you meet that goal? And getting that feedback and along with the top-level direction really does produce a great synergy in developing a good security culture. And next, what we do is we monitor significant metrics, and we monitor these metrics and track them right along with our business metrics. So we have our current ratio and profit and loss metrics. We also have security metrics, like the availability of our key systems and whether or not change controls were followed. And we track these metrics weekly, and then also in monthly all-hands meetings, and then they're also on quarterly goals and in performance reviews. So the idea behind this is that they're very important to our organization, and they're expressed to everybody. If there is a key system that's unavailable, it's talked about weekly, it's talked about in our quarterly reviews and goals, and so everybody knows that is something important. Our change controls. Anytime a change is made to a system, we have that logged. It's logged, it's approved, and it's discussed. This stops a lot of problems before they happen. I can tell you, before we implemented change controls years ago, we would have somebody make a change, others might not know of it, it wasn't discussed, and it would introduce a problem into a system. Maybe a well-meaning change, but it introduced a lot of other problems that nobody thought of. By going through an approval process, we think and we plan accordingly for each change. Also, we track it, and it can feed into a knowledge management system where we learn from each change that we make. We also do rewards for when metrics are met. Then we have something like a luncheon or a special event, and this encourages that security culture. And just talking about incentives a little bit, back to the performance reviews, that in setting these goals and having security on the performance review, it makes the whole process quite simple, because we can go right back to the quarterly goals and see whether or not those were met, and just feed that right into the performance review. Also happens just in our daily interactions with one another. One of the things I say is that I ask, what are the risks? So if we start talking about a new project or a change, I say, what are the risks? And what this does is say it so much that those around me know to think, what are the risks? And they come prepared with that. So now they're thinking, what are the risks? Asking questions like that will show that it's something that you need them to look for. And so now it's part of their daily routine. So how do we make it happen? First thing is you need to know where you're at. And so periodically we will do a high-level survey, giving you a scorecard of where we're at. So we'll look at a number of different metrics within an organization, and then from those we can figure out where are our improvement actions. Constantly striving to improve. This is, as Tim said, not something where you can be 100%. We're always striving to be better. And so we use these assessments to identify where is that weakest link. I recently had a flood in my basement, and you know how water works. It defines the easiest way in. Well, doesn't have to be the hacker, but even an internal person who's trying to get around that annoying system is going to find the easiest way